Hello everyone, welcome to Zero Labs. Today is Friday, January 1st, 2016. This is your first video of 2016. And this is the Kolossal Keshe Katastrophe. First, I would like to wish everyone a very happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year 2016. I want to thank you all for all of those of you who have subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate your subscriberships, and I hope to bring you more really great content in the year 2016. Right now, we have reached the conclusion of the Keshe plasma reactor experiment that I have been building. It has taken me months to build this replication faithfully according to the 68th Knowledge Seekers Workshop as published at the Keshe Foundation. I would like to go into the specifics of how I made this setup and go through all of the connections so that all of you can be assured that I have not connected this incorrectly. And then I'm going to perform the tests and collect the data and show you the evidence. It's really that simple. I initially thought that I was going to use one or more of these gadgets, the P3 kilowatt, the power meters that you get either on eBay or at your local home improvement center. I went and looked at this one this year, found out that it was displaying the incorrect voltage. It was floating anywhere from 146 to 168 volts, and it just wouldn't hold steady. And my input voltage is really 120 volts, and that holds very steady. I then went and looked at what the warranty period was on this, and the manufacturer warranties for 6 months. This is a year old, so guess where this is going. And that's about all those are worth. So we're going to measure input and output power the old-fashioned way. We're going to measure the AC voltage with a simple digital multimeter, and we're going to measure the AC current with the clamp-on AC current meter. Since we are not dealing with any complex waveforms, these forms of measurements will be very accurate. We have a known sinusoidal waveform at a known frequency of 60 Hertz. And all of these instruments are calibrated for sinusoidal waveform 60 Hertz. I'm confident that the readings that we take will be accurate. So this is the Magrav bead setup, the MGBS, as taken from this document at the Keshe Foundation website. This is the current published documentation that is available at the Keshe Foundation website. You'll notice that the input side is also the load side. So according to the diagram as published at the Keshe Foundation, the load side is actually supplying current back into the grid, which is the grid connection side over here. I've added a 5 amp fast blow glass fuse right here in order to prevent backfeeding too much power into the grid, because we certainly don't want to take the grid down when I'm conducting my experiments, now do we? Please note the sarcasm. And I have one lead exposed. We'll be taking our AC measurements on one lead each side, input and output, or output and input however he's got this set up. Here is a close-up of the plasma transistor setup NPN as described in the Keshe documentation. And here is a close-up of how I have connected it to the magnetical and gravitational rings on my Magrav bead setup. And of course, here is the picture of the overall Magrav bead setup. I have been running this plasma star formation GANS reactor is what Keshe calls this. I've been running this star formation GANS reactor setup for now 7 days. Actually, tonight will be a full 7 days. Today, I'm actually even upping the ante a little bit. Yesterday, I was running, when I ran these tests initially, I was running the plasma reactors at 2500 RPM. Right now, I am running them at 3000 RPM. Show you that right now. Okay, so my actual reading right now is 3060, roughly 3060 RPM on reactor number 1. 3028 on reactor number 2. 3033, 3040 on reactor number 3. And this will probably be about 3200 RPM. Reactor number 4 is 3235 RPM. I lowered the position of the top reactor also to more closely approximate the relationships of the reactors to the unit that was demonstrated at the 68th Knowledge Seekers Workshop as well. So hopefully we have faithfully replicated that condition. The Magrav Beads setup is running close enough to the star formation GANS reactor to be picking up energy from the plasma field that we can't see, that's supposed to be returning energy into the system. The reason I have the 5th single dynamic GANS reactor in my hand here is because the purpose of this is to extend the range of the plasma field so that you can extend it out to where you wish to actually use the power in the Magrav bead setup. So the whole point of this is to act as a directional antenna to bring the energy in if you are at a remote distance from your energy, your star formation GANS reactor. We won't be using this, but I made it anyway. So let's begin the test. Let's begin right now. One of the things that I was greatly concerned about when I ran my initial tests on this was this particular, make sure this is turned off, yep, was this particular GANS cell in the plasma transistor setup NPN, because for any of you who know anything about electrical wiring, this is where the voltage potential is coming in to the circuit. You have 120 volts across the outer shell and the inside conductor, 120 volts AC. And I was concerned about the impedance of this GANS cell building up heat. And I was absolutely correct when I first turned this on. It immediately drew almost 1.5 amps and heated up until the electrolyte inside dried out, and now there's no longer any more conductivity on this GANS cell. In later designs with the Magrav coil system, you see these in use, and these really are in later designs called the plasma capacitor. And that's pretty much what you've got here, because this lower GANS cell is short-circuited to itself, and it does nothing. It does nothing. Forget about the crap that Keshe says about plasma states and all that other nonsense. This does nothing. It simply acts as a circuit to pass the current through the outer casing to the center conductor and to your leads. I've connected my input and outputs using wire nuts to the nano-coated copper wires that make up the Magrav bead setup. And let's do the test. Let's do the test right now without any further delay. So I'm going to move the lamps up here a little bit. This way you can see my outlet box. My outlet box is connected. This cord loops around to this outlet right here, and I have the two lamps plugged in. Let's turn on the power. And didn't blow any fuses, so that's good. Always a plus. My meter is on the 200 AC volt scale. And under no load, see, this is the line, this is the neutral. Under no load, I have 120.5 volts on the input, and I have 120.5 volts on the output, or the input, whatever. That's under a no load condition, and obviously I have no current flowing in either direction. So we have 0.00 amps flowing in the circuit. There, you can see that pretty well. All right, we'll turn the load on. And I now have 0.41 amps on the input side, 0.41 amps at 119.8 volts. On the output side, I have 119.8 volts. So I have eliminated my resistive losses. 119.8 volts on the output, 119.8 volts on the input, or what Keshe calls the output, at 0.41 amps on this side of the circuit. And then on this side of the circuit, I have got 0.41 amps. You can't see it. There we go, 0.41 amps. So we have 0.41 amps on the input side. We have 0.41 amps on the output side. Actually, I'm showing about 0.01 amps more on the grid side. So we've actually lost about 10 milliamps of power from the grid side to the load side. Yep. So I've got 0.41 amps on the load side. I've got 0.42 amps on the grid side. I have got 120.5 on the grid side, and 120.3 on the load side. So yeah, actually I'm losing about 0.2 of a volt in the circuit. So the resistive losses are evident in the Magrav bead setup. My plasma reactors, my star formation GANS reactor here, thing is humming along very nicely. I don't think I see any difference. So let's take one more measurement. Let's actually see if we see any shift in the amount of available power, right? When we turn off the star formation GANS reactor. Right now I'm showing, and I want you to see this, I'm showing 0.41 amps going in, and now we're turning off. Oh, silence is golden. Turning off the star formation GANS reactor, and look, no change. No change on the input. No change on the output. I'm losing about 10 milliamps from the input to the output, or from the output to the input. Doesn't matter what you call it. From the grid side to the load side, we have resistive losses. And for anyone who is surprised at that, time to go back to Electricity 101 and begin studying real science. And that was the Kolossal Keshe catastrophe. I have received quite a bit of criticism from some of you who have asked, Z, why have you spent so much time building a gadget that you knew would not work? It's really simple. Because too many of you follow this quack named Keshe so blindly that you believe everything that comes out of his mouth. Let me give you a hint. Keshe is not the Messiah. Keshe is a false prophet. He is a false prophet. Okay? He drones on for hours upon hour upon hour upon knowledge seekers workshop and knowledge seekers workshop and knowledge seekers workshop. And he scribbles all kinds of things on his whiteboard, and he spews garbage all over the place. And people just soak it all up. And it just makes me ill. So why did I build this? Even if you don't take my word for it as one person, okay? Know that this device, as built in front of you right here, was built to the letter, to exacting specifications per the instructions given by Keshe. And I, as one person who fails to make it work in itself, is not enough evidence to prove conclusively, it is for me, but it's not enough evidence for the general public to prove conclusively that the technology cannot possibly work. But what I have done is I have contributed to the body of evidence that the technology does not work. Any of you who know me, who know my abilities to construct, who even to follow instructions, okay, know that this is a faithful replication of what Keshe has told us is a technology that works. And you have to understand that in order for anything that Keshe is talking about now to be a valid technology, it is all based upon technology that he talked about previously. And if what he's talking about now works, then what came before it has to work. Has to work. So the best, and because everything takes so long to build and to replicate faithfully according to the very complex specifications that are given by Keshe, the best that any of us can do is take a snapshot in time of what Keshe is talking about at that time, and then build your device according to what he describes at that time. If what you built doesn't work, if what you built cannot work, then guess what? Anything else that comes after it cannot work also, because it's all based on what came before it. I don't want to confuse anybody about that, but that's the reality, okay? I feel, how many of you remember the early Keshe plasma reactors? Remember? It's about the size of a melon. It had two stainless steel balls, one inside the other, concentric. Both of them copper coated, both of them copper plated, both of them nano coated, one filled with hydrogen, another filled with oxygen, counter rotating on a frame with weird shaped coils around the outside. Anybody remember those? There are some wonderfully talented people out there who did their very best to replicate the technology, to replicate the plasma reactors from that snapshot in time. People like Geert and his associates. Geert, I know you're going to watch this, and I feel really badly for you, and I feel really badly for your associates, and I feel really badly for anyone else who blindly followed Magrav Keshe and wasted all of those talents, all of that time, all of that energy. Geert and his colleagues must have invested tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, in all of the equipment necessary to try and replicate the nonsense that Keshe presented at that time, based on what was included in the, what was it called? The USB stick, the sharing of knowledge with the nations. Do you remember that? How quickly we all forget, right? If any of the technology that we're building here was to work, those early plasma reactors had to work. To the best of my knowledge, Geert has yet to get that to work. To the best of my knowledge, anyone who has attempted to build it has yet to get it to work. I challenge anyone to step forward with an actual working model. Not even you, Mr. Keshe, can step forward with an actual working model. And if you can, I'd love to see it. I really would. But you can't, because they don't exist, because the technology is bogus. It doesn't work because it cannot work, and it will never work. The best advice that I can give all of you who follow this clown named Magrav Keshe is to lick your wounds, is to walk away. Just walk away. Okay? Walk away, lick your wounds, count your losses, and move on. This is the best advice any Keshe follower will get into the new year. And Magrav Keshe, my personal message to you is, I hope you vanish into a cave somewhere and disappear from the planet forever and ever and ever, never to show your face again. Or better yet, tell you what, why don't you hop onto one of your spaceship program anti-gravitational vehicles and cast off into the universe and go spread your crap someplace else, okay? We don't want it here. That's all for now. I hope you all enjoyed this. Coming up in the year 2016, I've got a real project for you. I even have Mark Dancy excited about this one. Mark Dancy ran an article at Revolution Green around the subject called non-Julian magnetostriction. And it is an experiment in metallurgy and alloys and materials sciences. I'm pretty excited about this one, and even Mark Dancy is excited about this one because it opens up the possibility, the real possibility, of a working magnetic motor, or even better yet, a motionless electric generator, which is where I'm going with this experiment. The properties of these alloys that we're talking about actually exhibit more of the properties of a reactive component like a semiconductor than a passive component like a resistor. So without the input of energy into the core, it seems that all you have to do is tickle it and you end up getting some very strange anomalies that can be used to extract energy. And this may very well be the key to 0 point, who knows. But that's where I'm going. I am prepared to invest quite a bit of time and money into this project, and I expect it to take probably no less than a couple of years. So fasten your seatbelts. This experiment here, by the way, I don't think was a complete waste of time. We did learn a couple of interesting skills along the way. We learned how to electroplate non-conductive materials. I thought that was pretty interesting. Learned how to make GANs. I'm not sure that was very interesting, but anyway. Honed our skills with 3D printing. Made a very nice bookshelf ornament, and I might keep this on my bookshelf, or I might offer it to Sterling Allen to put on his bookshelf next to the Parandev next to the Parandev magnetic motor that he's got on display at PESN and PESWiki. That's all for now. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. As always, please rate, share, comment, and subscribe. And peace, everyone.